welcome to the family here on Purple Mafia. I'm your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Purple Mafia is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps, and I thank each and every one of you once and always for downloading and listening to this show. It is a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today. The Minnesota Vikings looked like a team that was, just not ready for whatever it was, not ready for the big time or anything resembling that, and things changed fairly dramatically, and it ended up being kind of like last year's game, but the Vikings emerged victorious in J.J. McCarthy's debut in his hometown, 27-24. Well, there it is. Two people had basically had their debut at their new job today. J.J. McCarthy and myself. Yeah, myself and J.J. McCarthy, quarterback of the Vikings, and myself as a production coordinator. So both of us kind of moving up in the world, I guess. And well, here we are. So J.J. McCarthy off to a crappy start in the game, and things changed so much, as you may have seen. This will probably be a shorter show than normal, and no YouTube this week. YouTube / other audio, whatever, would be like the same video going on to maybe TikTok or Instagram, stuff like that. So there will be no YouTube this week, YouTube or videos this week, just because of tight schedules and such. But here we are. So Minnesota Vikings emerging victorious in a game that looked depressing. Let's just say the work laptop wasn't really cooperating today. The brand new work laptop wasn't connecting, wasn't setting up well at all. It just was kind of staring and sitting. And when the Vikings trailed in this game, was it 17-6? It was depressing. 7-3, 10-3, 17-6, especially when it just felt like it's just dragging on and on and on. And J.J. McCarthy threw a 75-yard pick six. It felt like, oh boy, here we go. 17-6 in the third quarter. I mean, whatever. At least Will Reichert made a 59-yard field goal. I guess that's the highlight of the game. McCarthy completed a few passes at 50-some yards, basically, 48 yards at the half. It's like, okay, 38 yards rushing. And then things would start to change into that fourth quarter. It was like McCarthy woke up. Things just changed so dramatically. And it was a wonderful day for J.J. McCarthy. Very, very clutch in the fourth quarter. 13 of 20 overall, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, quarterback rating of 98.5. In a game it felt like it was going to be something quite different, something quite depressing. But it's like, okay, he's a rookie. And Dennis Allen's a pretty good defensive coordinator debuting with the Chicago Bears. J.J. McCarthy transformed into the guy that we saw in Michigan. The guy who was clutch, the guy who was a winner, the guy who was, a lot more than just, what we saw in the first 3 quarters. And what an exciting game it truly was. I may sound a little tired because I am recording this late. So I'm recording this late, and I'm going to get this done tonight. So just kind of the way the strategy is going to go. What's the point of waiting till tomorrow night with the way the schedule is? What's the point? It's just I'd be recording at the same time anyway, and the news would be older. Jordan Addison led the Vikings in rushing, getting some tough yards, 68 total on the ground on 15 carries. Aaron Jones had a couple of clutch runs and such, but also had a huge catch for 27 yards. I was like, what was it was a 27-yard play, and it's like, look at this guy, J.J. McCarthy. That was during the transformation, the second touchdown pass by McCarthy. The first one was to Justin Jefferson, so that will go forever. That'll be on the trivia forever if J.J. McCarthy ends up being a legend in this league, and I hope he does. And when a guy looks as clutch as he did, there's a distinct possibility that he really could be a legend someday. 143 yards passing doesn't feel so legendary, but, most of it was done in the fourth quarter. So, and when a guy is clutch when it matters most, I think that's a pretty good indicator of this guy might be a winner. And that's what matters most, winning at the end of the day. During the run with Kevin O'Connell. So far, the Vikings have won a number of regular season games. Now, hopefully, this can transform into a postseason winner. McCarthy certainly did do that in college football at the college rankings with Michigan. Hopefully he can carry that into the NFL. But we'll see. Obviously, it's an encouraging, intriguing start to J.J. McCarthy's career when you consider, like Judd Zolgad talked about that on the Purple Daily, the Score North immediate post-game video. I always like to jump on that just to hear their thoughts kind of real quick before coming on here. And it's like, yeah, it's not like, see, it'd be impressive and everything if McCarthy was just awesome pretty much the whole game. But it's in a lot of ways more impressive with the way that J.J. McCarthy was ineffective. He was missing passes. He was missing on plays. And there just was just nothing there. Like, nothing to get excited about. It kind of looked like Caleb Williams as a rookie. It's just like, okay, that's great. I mean, remember Caleb Williams in a lot of games last year against, like, the Houston Texans and such? It was just boring. It was boring. It was awful. It was garbage. It's garbage. And that's what it looked like. And then the way he just woke up and just went out there and got the job done. Extremely impressive. Credit Caleb Williams after the Vikings went from a 17-6 deficit, which was 11-point deficit, to suddenly being up by 10, which is absolutely nuts. 21 points, 3 straight touchdowns, 3 drives, 3 touchdowns later. One of them, of course, with McCarthy running the ball in, not just the 2 touchdown passes, one to Justin Jefferson, and then a pretty impressive, clutch, aggressive throw to Aaron Jones, which was quite surprising. I didn't expect to see that. Like, Aaron Jones caught that. Aaron Jones made that play, catching it into the end zone. It was extremely exciting. But then McCarthy looks like he's going to pass and then tucks the ball in and runs into the end zone. The Vikings lead by 10. It's like, oh my God, what an amazing feeling. It truly was. Next thing you know, Caleb Williams is out there getting the Bears down the field. Now, part of it, and it was very quick, including a very nice touchdown strike to Rome Odunze. DJ Moore was banged up along the way during that drive. Unfortunately for him, he had a fumble lost in the game as well, by the way. But DJ Moore, a couple of stupid penalties along the way. What was it? Roughing the passer, and basically a couple of times in the hands to the face of the passer, basically by Ivan Pace Jr. The first one was 97 there as well. So extremely frustrating for the Minnesota Vikings to go through some of that nonsense. The Bears would, again, like I was saying, have their quick strike to get the Bears back within 3, but thankfully, when the Vikings did get the ball back, unable to get the first down, but the 2-minute warning was already wasted on the punt, as the 2-minute warning already expired, so the Bears couldn't use that on the kickoff, couldn't use that to their advantage. So thankfully for us, the Bears just had one timeout, but so the Vikings were able to run the clock down without even getting a first down to 16 seconds. The Bears couldn't do a whole lot there, and the Vikings emerged victorious, thankfully there. As Wright was able to pin the Bears pretty deep into their own territory. But obviously in the first half, and really the first 3 quarters, what the hell, first half, my butt, first 3 quarters, Ryan Wright was extremely busy because the third quarter was arguably worse. The Vikings didn't even make a field goal. They didn't even get down the field. All you saw was the big pick 6 by the Bears. Like, you thought they won this game. 7 punts by Ryan Wright, but again, pinned the Bears pretty deep in their own territory, which made their chances of winning the game extremely bleak, though they did just have to get into field goal range to have a shot at it. The Bears never came close to getting there, thankfully. A couple of sacks by Javon Hargrave. We appreciate it, the newly acquired Javon Hargrave. But he did also have that stupid penalty late in the game that did not help at all, so that was pretty disappointing to say the least. But and Hargrave missed a ton of time, so 7 sacks in 23, 1 sack last year, so he's already doubled last year's total after missing some times for the Salisbury, North Carolina native who played in South Carolina. Funny. Just crazy to think a guy that's already a couple, 32 years old, was a 3rd-round pick in 2016. It's crazy to think 2016 is that long ago. But there I go, rambling here. That's what I got to stop doing so I can keep this fairly brief here. It's late enough as it is. But, the trivia answer, who was J.J. McCarthy's first touchdown pass to? Justin Jefferson. So that can make things pretty easy for people in the future. So we appreciate that in a big way. But a very nice debut by J.J. McCarthy, despite the first 3 quarters stuck in pretty bad. Nice 2-point conversion also to Adam Thielen to put the Vikings up by 3 earlier on at the point after the touchdown to Aaron Jones Sr. That was pretty exciting to put the Vikings up by 3, getting the ball to Adam Thielen. So he didn't officially catch a pass in the game, but he did get the 2-point conversion catch. So those unfortunately don't count as catches, unfortunately, which is kind of sad. But Adam Thielen, yes, there you go. Number 19 making that big play. Bears defense did stymie McCarthy a bit for a while. They did have 3 sacks in the game. Yes, they did. So Dexter Sr., Capasagon, probably not saying it correctly. Yeah, but Nathan Wright with the big, 74-yard pick six. I know, I said that enough. Odeyingbo, also with a sack for the Bears. Yeah, that would be Mr. Allen's Bears there. Dennis Allen's Bears defense. Definitely a good defensive coordinator with the Saints and the Bears. Obviously didn't have a whole lot of success as the Saints head coach position, but that's kind of how that goes. But awesome to see. The key with J.J. McCarthy here isn't about the sexy statistics as much as the stick-to-itiveness. And yes, he was still kind of, revving up his teammates and such, kind of like, yeah, we got this, it's going to be okay. And ultimately, it did end up working out. The stick-to-itiveness of J.J. McCarthy is what's impressive in this one, to say the least. I just see more balls in this guy. Like, he's got big balls, as they say. I don't forgive the inappropriate conversation. But, yeah, I mean, a lot of people used to get frustrated last season with Sam Darnold. Like, throw the damn ball. Just throw the ball. Where McCarthy doesn't seem like he's really scared like Sam Darnold was. And you saw a bit of that some more from Sam Darnold with Seattle. We'll have a more abbreviated version. I'm going to try to not bloviate as much as I did have in the past. And I'm going to try to be better about that the whole season if I can with the NFL Roundup coming up. So at the end of the day, again, a very exciting victory by the Vikings. Not because the game was so great and sexy, but, well, I mean, it was a fun 4th quarter, wasn't it? In a game that was 17-6, you end up seeing a 27, with a team that only had 6 points, score 27-24. That's not bad. It's a lot better than, winning the game 17-13. A lot of people thought that was going to be the final score with the Vikings winning, but this ended up being a heck of a lot more exciting at the end of the day, and we sure the heck will take it, to say the least. It's like right at halftime, too, that was where you saw a little moment, a little glimpse of what was to happen later on, 2 quarters later. But, yeah, you thought, okay, let's carry this momentum into the second half. The big play to Jalen Naylor was the first big play of the entire game. The first chunk play of the entire game got to Jalen Naylor, and then Mr. Will Reichert was able to hit a 59-yarder. So extremely exciting there. It's like, okay, let's carry this momentum into the second half, and it just wasn't meant to be. I mean, okay, 10-6, that's not bad. 11 seconds remaining. Big play, man. Cool. Big play by McCarthy. I mean, the Bears scored Cairo Santos with a 42-yard kick made, basically, to make it 10-3, and then McCarthy able to get a 28-yard pass just right after that, and Reichert hitting a 59-yarder. That was kind of exciting and kind of fun. So encouraging to see Will Reichert looking a heck of a lot better than he did after returning from injury last year. So good for him to see him returning to form is what the point is. So let's look at the Fran Tarkington Award winner. Again, this is kind of on the abbreviated side, so I apologize. Fran Tarkington Award winner for this episode is going to be J.J. McCarthy for his stick-to-itiveness. I mean, nicely done. Javon Hargrave could have absolutely been a factor in this one, but I mean, those late penalties gave the Bears a chance. It gave them some life late in the game. So, it was him and Ivan Pace Jr. getting a couple of crucial penalties that put the Bears in position to score, despite the fact that multiple occasions Mr. Caleb Williams stepped out of bounds, which cost the Bears something. Like he ended up losing yards instead of simply throwing the ball away on one play, and then stepping out of bounds when he probably should have scored a touchdown. So it's kind of funny, but it was a nice throw, probably the best throw of the game by Mr. I keep saying Mr. this and Mr. that, but it was probably the best throw of the game by Caleb Williams, other than one of the big plays down the field during that final drive by the Bears. The one that actually got somewhere. One of those, the 30-yard play to DJ Moore was pretty impressive, to be quite blunt. And then, of course, the nice touchdown pass to Roma Dunze was a good. It was a good play. It was a nice play. I mean, I'm giving him credit. It was a nice bullet of a throw. Just frustrating for us on the side of the Minnesota Vikings. With that said, so yeah, the Fred Turkington Award winner is J.J. McCarthy for this episode. The Christian Founder Memorial, anybody I want to say I was disappointed in and just sucked and was not up to par, to say the least, in this one. I don't really want to trash anyone at this point, necessarily. And it's not like anybody would get really trashed on. But DJ Hawkinson could have been a little better. I mean, you're still kind of seeing some meh moments, but he did have a big block on J.J. McCarthy's touchdown, so what the hell. I don't know. Just the first half, or the first three quarters in general, I mean, it was pretty boring, pretty crappy. Eric Wilson also had a block punt. Almost forgot to mention that. Van Ginkel had a couple of pass deflections. Very nice. Nicely done, to say the least. So, I mean, it's like individual players played well. It's just the execution wasn't translating into a whole lot until the fourth quarter, to say the least. Vikings defense did keep them within striking distance. Obviously, that is apparently striking distance to keep the Bears to 17 points. Because, McCarthy's capable of doing more than just, yay, we're going to get 17 to 20 points. He went up with 27. So we'll take it. We'll absolutely take it. It would be just kind of the general performance of the team in the first three quarters is kind of your Christian Ponder Memorial. So with that, we'll take a quick break and get to an abbreviated, at least as long as I don't bloviate too much, NFL Roundup. And we are back here on Purple Mafia segment number 2. Going to look at the NFL Roundup again. I'll try to be semi-abbreviated if humanly possible. Maybe. No, I'm just kidding. The Thursday night NFL debut, the Philadelphia Eagles host the Dallas Cowboys. And the Cowboys, they put on a pretty good showing. I'm sure the whole country's been laughing at them ever since the, whatever the heck it's called, Micah Parsons trade. And then the Packers had a little scare that Parsons may have back issues, and oh my God, what were they thinking? No, he played and he was pretty good. Whatever. C.J. Lamb dropped a few passes that could have helped the Cowboys actually win the game, but still a very nice performance, generally speaking. But 13 targets, 17 catches. He left some plays on the field that C.D. Lamb, and the Cowboys actually could have won the football game. Dak Prescott, no touchdowns, no interceptions. That tells you something a little bit there. Where Jalen Hurts also, no touchdowns, no interceptions, only 152 yards, but extremely efficient. Only had 4 incompletions in the game and run the ball in twice. Saquon Barkley got the ball in once. The Eagles still have probably the best running game in the world, generally speaking. It's not even like it's the best, but it's like the most, I don't know, they just get the job done. Look at it that way. Dallas Goedert, who happens to be on my fantasy team, 7 catches for 44 yards. That's okay. He caught everything that came his way. Again, accurate throws by Jalen Hurts. And, he didn't throw a touchdown, but again, very efficient to say the least. Javonte Williams, a couple of touchdowns for the Cowboys. And not that bad. I don't know. The Cowboys looked a lot better than some people thought. They're kind of out okay. Like everyone thinks we suck, but we really don't. We don't suck. We're still a playoff level type of team. And the Cowboys kind of looked like that against the defending world champion Eagles. I don't think the Eagles look like a team primed and ready to win a second Super Bowl in a row, but, it's just the first game, so maybe they are. Friday on YouTube, exclusively to YouTube, forgive my word salad, Corinthians Arena. I like that better than other names that are out there. Corinthians Arena, that's kind of cool. It's different. 27-21 over the Arrowhead Kansas City Chiefs. The Chargers beat the Chiefs. So that was worthwhile on a Friday night. Like, yes, that made Friday night worthwhile. My last day on my, on the former job inspecting for 10 bleeping years. But hey, it was, obviously we built some nice relationships and had some nice camaraderie for a long time. Obviously, there's ups and downs. You're not going to love everybody every time you talk to them or whatever, but things ended very nicely. And, sometimes I still feel a little sad, obviously, but the good part is we're still in the same room anyway, so it's not like I'm never seeing them again. So that's the great news. Enough about my life. Justin Herbert, great game, man. 3 touchdown passes, 131.7 quarterback rating. That's pretty good. Mahomes was contained a bit. He hasn't really been on top of his game, quite frankly, the last year and a half. And even the most recent Super Bowl, the Chiefs struggled most of the year. Mahomes would have a couple of clutch finishes, and then they ended up being clutch in the postseason and won the Super Bowl again when they won their second consecutive bowl, beating the Niners by the skin of their teeth. It was so disappointing. It was depressing and disappointing, and I hated it. The Eagles basically had them beat, was it 3 years ago now? And then the Chiefs were clutch and got the job done. The Niners absolutely had them beat, and Mahomes and co got the job done and beat them again. It's just, damn it. And then last year the Eagles said, get the hell out of here, basically, and it was awesome. Great, satisfying game that was. And I mean that with everything I mean it. That's all you need to know. A 59-yard field goal made by Harrison Butker. A 59-yard kick made. Good job. Both kickers made all of their kicks. Okay, good for them. Khalil Mack, no sacks. But, he was better with the Bears, damn it. Chargers defense was pretty solid, and the Chargers ended up beating the Chiefs 27-21. A very satisfying Friday night game. Kirk Cousins and all those guys. Yeah, but again, I'll save the NFC North for last. Michael Penix. Michael Penix and the Falcons. I mean, a lot of people think this could be it. More than likely are the two teams competing in the NFC South for the division. Atlanta loses at home by 3 points to the Tampa Bay Schmucks, who actually played pretty well. 3 touchdown passes by Mayfield, despite not being the most efficient in terms of accuracy. But 3 touchdowns is very efficient. Quarterback rating of 99.4 would have been higher with higher percentage. Michael Penix attempted 42 passes with that big arm. He didn't turn the ball over. Good for him. He did run the ball in once and threw the ball for a touchdown once. His first touchdown pass this year, anyway, to Bijan Robinson. Michael Penix did play some extended snaps last year, but wasn't the starter to go out into the beginning of the year. Running game not all very effective for Atlanta, and that hurt them, as Mayfield and co. were just simply better, generally speaking. And yes, the Buccaneers, with a huge road win in Atlanta, probably makes them the favorites in that division. Cincinnati visiting Cleveland in Ohio battle here. And yuck, that's all I got to say about that. 17-16. Well, at least Cincinnati won the game, but 17-16 over the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Cleveland Browns. And with Joe Flacco at quarterback, who's, older. He's about my age. And I'm not kidding. He is about my age. Sometimes I thought he was older than me, but no, he's not. He came out of college later than I would have. Jerry Jeudy with 5 catches for 66 yards. Good for him. That's with the Browns, of course. He used to be with the Broncos. Not a very exciting game. I mean, Joe Burrow only 113 yards in the air. What the heck, man? Chase Brown did get in the end zone, but only 43 yards and 2 yards a carry. Talking about clouds of dust there. 2 yards in a cloud of dust. Literally. Flacco with 290 yards in the air, but a couple of INTs that ultimately proved costly, because in a 1-point loss, an interception is not a good thing at the end of the day. The Bengals barely win. Yay. Over the Cleveland Browns, but maybe the Browns are better than last year. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you there. Another team that I just, if you had any hope in them, I think it's just over. It's over. And the Miami Dolphins need to look in a different direction, I think, next year. Not necessarily the coach as much as the quarterback. I'm done with Tua. I'm done with him if I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. I'm done. Okay, you can't play in the cold, you can't do this, you can't do that, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's all it ever is. Zach Wilson looked better than Tua And Zach Wilson, yeah, he was a high draft pick, but he was a bleep and bust from day one, pretty much, when he suited up with the Jets. But of course, anybody suiting up with the Jets looks like a bust. Look at Aaron Rodgers with Pittsburgh versus Aaron Rodgers with the Jets. Well, we'll cross that bridge in a few minutes here. Daniel Jones, the guy who was going to be the greatest backup ever with the Minnesota Vikings, and he was going to be in that quarterback school, looked pretty good. 29 attempts. He did win the starting job, believe it or not, because Richardson can't hit the rod side of a barn. 1 touchdown pass, no interceptions, protected the ball pretty well, and he also ran the ball in twice. Daniel Jones ran the ball in twice. So, yeah, 272 yards in the air, and I said the quarterback rating was basically 116. Gosh, about more than twice as what Tua accomplished, a 51.7 with a couple of ints, and 1 TD and 2 ints. Okay, 2 interceptions. It's Indianapolis. This isn't Buffalo in January here. Tua, come on, man. That's terrible. Don't the Colts play indoors? Right? They do, right? I mean, seriously. Isn't Lucas Oil Stadium indoors? So what's the problem? What's the problem, man? Somebody tell me. Yes, it's a fancy kind of, it's indoor with the sun coming in, which I think is really cool. All the Vikings do that a bit too. Yeah, I mean, I like that. It's like it's indoors, but at least you can see the sun. I think it's awesome. Or maybe that one has like a retractable kind of top. I don't know. Whatever it is, the Colts crush the Dolphins 33-8. And what the hell? That's all I got to say to that about that. The Tuck rule game. Okay, just kidding. Well, it's a rematch of the same 2 teams about 25 years later, but yeah, in Gillette Stadium, no less. Yeah, 20-13. The Raiders beat New England. Yeah, Stephon Diggs debuted with the Patriots, 6 catches, 57 yards. So okay, he's coming back from that ACL and looking okay. Drake May attempted 46 passes, completed 30 of them. That's not bad, but he did have an interception. Geno Smith was more efficient despite also an interception because 362 yards in the air. Pretty good. 1 interception, 1 touchdown. Brock Bowers. Interesting name there. 5 catches for 103 yards. Jacoby Myers. This is all with the Raiders. They look kind of good, actually, in this game. And the Patriots look better, too. They just didn't win the game. Drake May definitely has tons of potential, but just, I don't know, didn't get the job done in the end, unfortunately, for the New England Patriots. In fact, they were down 20-10. The Raiders, New England actually had the lead at halftime, but really didn't do a whole lot in the second half until they were able to get in a field goal range for Borregals for a 44-yarder. It was kind of like, too little too late. It made the score a little prettier, and, there was just not enough time left. The Raiders didn't have to do anything, really, did they? So, I don't know. It's kind of sad. Vegas Raiders get the win. Patriots did not get the win. Okay, does that make any sense? I don't know. Some people actually have Arizona making the postseason this year, and others have some of the same people have New Orleans as the worst team in the league. I don't know if I buy either one of those. Maybe New Orleans is the worst team in the league. I don't know. I mean, Spencer Rattler doesn't excite me all that much. Attempted 46 passes, no turnovers, and a quarterback rating of 70. Yay. Alvin Kamara has been in the league as long as Delvin Cook, but he still gets it done. It's pretty impressive. Delvin Cook looked old about 5 years ago, and I'm not even kidding. He looked old, didn't he? Alvin Kamara looks like he's still kind of decent for the most part. Kyler Murray had one of his good games. He must have put the controller down for a week or two. And, video game controller anyway. Efficient game. Only 163 yards total, but 2 touchdown passes. Good for him. Marvin Harrison Jr. with 5 catches, 71 yards, and a tutty to help Arizona start off 1-0 with an only 20-13 win. Probably not that impressive if the New Orleans Saints are really the worst team in the league. Rodgers returns to New York in a very epic battle that ended up being very high scoring. A lot of people probably expected this to go the opposite direction, to be a low scoring game. Aaron Rodgers gets out of New York, and holy crap, he looks like a better player. He looked great pretty much the whole game for the most part. Wasn't perfect. He got banged up a bit, beat up a bit, but overall, what a great game. 30 attempts, 22 completions, 4 touchdowns. That's right, 4. 136.7 quarterback rating. Good for him. Justin Fields extremely efficient as well. getting in the end zone twice, showing that athleticism again. Brees Hall, 107 yards on the ground. An epic game, honestly. You had the option to watch this or Washington, I think, and the New York Giants. This was a much more entertaining football game, kind of like the Sunday night football game, which is maybe the best game you ever saw since I don't know when. It was a great game. Great game. This was a good game, too, though. It really was. Aaron Rodgers, it was really nice to see, actually. And good for him. Yes, I'm saying good for Aaron Rodgers. I just said that. Yeah, he played well. I don't hate Aaron Rodgers, and he's not on the Packers anymore. He's actually on the team that he beat in the Super Bowl, remember? All those years ago, 2010 season. So, good for Aaron Rodgers, man. And Justin Fields actually looks pretty good, too, with the Jets. They might actually be kind of a dangerous team this year. Washington versus the Giants. Ugh, the Giants just are boring. The Giants are boring. The Washington Commanders look decent. I wouldn't say it was a great game, but Jaden McDaniels, yeah, solid. Did throw for one touchdown. Didn't run anything in, but certainly showed some athleticism with 68 yards on the ground. Russell Wilson had a couple of good plays, but generally speaking, it was an awful game. Generally speaking, Malik Neighbors, the big-time wide receiver draft pick, with 5 catches and 71 yards on his debut, but no touchdowns were thrown in this game. No touchdowns were thrown or ran in by the Giants. They only scored 6 lousy points, a couple of field goals, 21-6 victory for the Commanders. We will move quickly, if possible. Rematch of the battle of the 1995. I believe the year is correct. Yes, 1995 expansion teams. Jacksonville Jaguars hosting the Carolina Panthers. Almost the Super Bowl a couple of times, but didn't quite happen. Bryce Young kind of back to 2 years ago with 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. And Trevor Lawrence just cannot seem to get over the hump. I don't understand. He was looked on as an absolute phenom, but he's starting to remind me of some of those number 1 picks in the NHL. The guy looks like a phenom. Oh my God, he's gonna be the greatest thing ever. What was it? The guy that was it Lafreniere with the New York Rangers? You ever heard of Lafreniere? I don't think you have, but you've heard of Connor McDavid, right? Even if you're not really a hockey fan, you've heard of Connor McDavid. That's what I'm trying to talk about here. Some number 1 picks. Do you hear about others? I don't know. Like, how many semi-casual football fans have even heard of Trevor Lawrence at this point? Like, if he was as good as, like, say, Jaden McDaniels, the number 2 pick last year, a lot of casual fans know who Jaden McDaniels is. Jaden Daniels, excuse me. I got Timberwolves player on my mind here. Jaden Daniels. Yep, I hope you know who Jaden McDaniels is, too. He's starting to make a name for himself in the NBA. Sorry, Travis Etienne Jr. with 143 yards on the ground. He was absolutely great, but a 71-yard scamper will help that. Definitely boost up those numbers, but good for him. The Jaguars, they did win the football game because Carolina's not real good now, and I don't think they're really too thrilled about losing Adam Thielen. I can't imagine Bryce Young was, because he certainly was a help in that room there, in the locker room. He really was. Tatoria McMillan. Ever heard of him? I don't know. Maybe you have. 68 yards and 5 catches for the Carolina Panthers. So, yeah, Tatoria McMillan. Let's go. Anyone? Okay, just kidding. Yeah, well, kind of an ugly game, but the Jaguars actually kicked their butts, 26-10. Impressive win for the Jaguars, but I don't know. Is it more like the Jaguars look good or the Carolina Panthers look like poop? Well, I think the Panthers look like poop. But next, keep going. You can't waste so much time on that. Denver versus the Tennessee Titans. Yikes. I don't know. Well, Denver won the game 20-12. Bo Nix, 2 interceptions. He's usually a lot better than that. What the hell happened to him? Holy moly, what the hell happened here? You know, like when, at the end of Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Yeah, when Judge Doom got, melted with the dip. That's pretty much what Bo Nix looked like. What the heck? 2 interceptions? Okay, just kidding. Cam Ward, his first game as a pro in the National Football League. The Denver defense is pretty good, but even the Bears defense is good as well, so this makes McCarthy look better than ever, because Cam Ward was the number 1 overall pick. 28 attempts, 12 completions, 112 yards. Didn't even turn the ball over. It just wasn't that great, bottom line. And the Broncos win 20-12. Let's go. Go. Keep moving, right? Keep moving. Seattle and San Francisco. Another meh game, honestly. Very meh. 17-13. boring. It's boring. Lumen Field. Well, the 49ers won the game. Purdy with 2 interceptions. Jeez, man. It's kind of like, and Purdy and Darnold were kind of like the opposite here. Purdy was taking some chances, made a couple of mistakes, but still got the job done. A couple of touchdowns, 277 yards. And then you have Darnold, who's just, I don't know, timid. Like, isn't that probably the best way to describe Sam Darnold? Timid. It's unfortunate because you want him to succeed. And he had some great numbers last year, but then a lot of times in some of those moments, sometimes he'd be timid as well. Like, throw the frickin' ball, dude. Though he did have some clutch moments, so I better shut up there. I mean, but not in the postseason when it matters more than ever. He was awfully timid, wasn't he? Who's the other guy? George Kittle, I believe, has hamstring issues now, so he's going to miss a number of weeks. That's kind of the conversation out there. So disappointing for the 49ers. They just cannot stay freaking healthy, can they? Nick Bosa with a sack in the game. He's the only guy on the Niners side. Julian Love with the only sack for the Seahawks side of the equation. Let's move on. This game wasn't that exciting. McCaffrey, not McCarthy. 69 yards on the ground, but it took 22 rushes to get there, so an average of 3.1. 3.1. Exciting stuff. Not. Continuing, another epic game. Real epic stuff. Okay, yes. I was like, wait a minute. Who's the other team that was in the NFC North? The Vikings and Bears. Yeah. Sorry. So, the Rams. 14-9 over the Houston Oilers. 14-9. That's not a halftime score. I mean, that could be the score after a first quarter in a game. 14-9. Ugh. Nick Chubb, one of those guys who's having a little renaissance here after, he's definitely a veteran with the Cleveland Browns in his 30s now. He played all those years with the Browns. Now he's, with the Texans. And it's a nice game. Honestly, 60 yards on the ground in a game that I feel like nothing was working on either side. Stroud was meh at best. 27 attempts with 1 interception, and that's it, basically. Boring stuff. It is. It's boring. I'm sorry. I just had to be honest. 14-9. Ugh. Awful. Matthew Stafford, what does he have? Like all kinds of injury issues. What is it, like shoulder here? 29 attempts, 21 completions, 1 touchdown throw, and good for him. Kyren Williams has been awesome. So big credit to him. Kieran, I believe, is it Kieran? Kieran Williams with 1 touchdown and 66 yards and all that. Puka Nacua, that's on the ground for Williams. Not receiving, of course. Puka Nacua rolls right off your tongue with 10 catches and 130 yards. Impressive. And that was on 11 targets. Puka Nacua is a stud, isn't he? Devontae Adams is now in the Rams, isn't he? That's wild. 4 catches, 51 yards. Good for him, for the wily veteran who, tried to, rekindle some of that magic with the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers, but with the Jets last year, and it just didn't really happen all that great. Maybe once in a blue moon, but I don't know. Well, he's on the Rams now and stuff. Puka Nacua, definitely the Ram of the game, that's for damn sure. He gets the Kurt Warner award there. Kurt Warner award for the Rams there, no doubt. Or the Aaron Donald award, I don't know what the hell. Game of the week, before we talk about Packers and Lions, so the NFC North Roundup, I guess you can call it that, is one stinging game. Oh my God. Kind of similar in a way where Baltimore was kind of whooping up on the, Bills, weren't they? It looked like it was going to be a close game for a while, and then Baltimore started building a lead. Like 20-13 isn't a huge lead. 27-13 is a bit bigger. 34-19, it's like, it's probably over. Even when it got to be 40-25, it's like it's probably over. Probably when Buffalo started to show some life in the fourth quarter, kind of similar here. A pretty big lead going into the fourth quarter by Baltimore, and the Buffalo Bills end up getting the job done and winning the game in extremely impressive fashion. And Matt Prater kick, who was only 32 yards out, a guy who can make like 60 yarders forever with Detroit and Arizona, respectively. The Baltimore Ravens did have a 2-point lead, but it wasn't meant to be. Baltimore Ravens did have a 2-point lead, but Prater was able to get it as Buffalo got within field goal range and won the game 41 to 40 in a very great game. I do believe I had this as the AFC title game. Like one of these two teams is going to knock off the Chiefs. I do think either one of these teams could knock off the Chiefs. Derrick Henry was absolutely amazing. Talk about renaissances. Holy schmuck. He was incredible. Other than losing a fumble, that's when things really started to change. That's when the momentum was definitely on the Buffalo Bills side. It was already on the Bills side, and that was just like, oh boy, Buffalo's really got a chance here. Derrick Henry was absolutely sick in the game until that stupid fumble. A couple of touchdowns, 169 yards, and only 18 rushes. Looked like Saquon Barkley last year. It looked like the Eagles version of Saquon Barkley last year. Well, yeah, the Eagles version, but looked like last year's Saquon Barkley. Was absolutely great. James Cook did get a touchdown for the Buffalo. Josh Allen, no turnovers in the game, and got to be about the best fantasy guy there is in the league. Almost 400 yards, 2 touchdowns thrown, 2 touchdowns ran in on 30 rushing yards. A great game by the Buffalo Bills, and people like Phil Mackey picking the Bills to end their drought and win the Super Bowl this year. They could. I think they might be the best team in the league this year. I think that's a good call. Like in Baltimore, just feels like it. I got a feeling I'm going to be wrong picking Baltimore to go to the Super Bowl. I think it might be Buffalo, but we'll see. I know it's just one game and things can change and all that, so we'll see what happens. Packers host the Detroit Lions to wrap this segment up here. Still fairly abbreviated, right? 27-13. I feel like the Packers kind of had this one just about from the get-go, getting that 10-0 lead and just kind of maintaining their lead 17-3, so on and so forth. Managed to get 10 more points. It just felt like Detroit just was kind of dead on this one. They were kind of DOA, like dead on arrival. Just felt like they were dead, and the Packers just had the momentum in this one. I don't know. Maybe Detroit isn't as good as they would like us all to believe. 2 touchdowns thrown by Jordan Love. Did not have a turnover. Josh Jacobs also did run the ball in. Not a sexy game, but just solid. The kind of guy who gets like 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. That's about what Josh Jacobs looked like in this game. David Montgomery couldn't do anything. Jahmyr Gibbs got contained impressively well. Montgomery on 11 rushes, 25 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 9 rushes, 19 bleeping yards. He did have a 14-yard long, but an average of 2.1. Absolutely contained by that aggressive, athletic Packers defense. And that defense is absolutely motivated. I mean, the one tackle Micah Parsons got in the game was a sack. Rashawn Gary had a sack and a half, and he shared with Lucas Van Ness. Rolls right off your tongue, and one of them rolls right off your tongue, I know. But Packers look good. I hate to say it, man, but the Packers look good. Of course, a lot of us would say, I hate to say it, that Detroit looks good too. But the Packers look awful good this year. And, well, it's the Vikings and the Packers competing for first place right now because Detroit and Chicago are kind of where they used to be, at the bottom. It used to be kind of Minnesota, Green Bay all the time. Like in whatever era it was, even back in the day, all the way up to today. Detroit and Chicago almost always at the bottom, except for Chicago in the 80s, where they absolutely ruled the NFC Central, is what it was called back then. The Bears were the kings of the NFC Central back in those days, but not anymore. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see how dangerous this Packers team is. It's going to be fascinating when we see how these two teams turn out. I just realized something. I didn't even preview the upcoming game for the Vikings. Don't I usually do that? Yeah, what's wrong with me? So I'm kind of getting off track here, and I deeply apologize. But actually, yeah, usually I do the... that is what I do. I usually do the roundup. But then, I usually save whoever we're playing next week for last. And that's a Sunday night game against the Atlanta Falcons, so I apologize for that. I did this a couple times last year, too. I'm just kind of off. It's late. I'm tired. I don't know. I'm getting the feeling my wife... Every time I record, I feel like my wife is annoyed with me, so that's just kind of how it is. The Falcons, again, did lose to the Bucks just recently, so that's kind of how that goes. Michael Penix, obviously, is a threat. Why isn't anything happening here? Okay, yeah, that's why. They did score 20 points against the Bucks, but didn't get the job done. Michael Penix obviously got a great arm. I think this is a very winnable game for the Vikings. They will be hosting Atlanta on national television on NBC. The Vikings historically have been not so good in the night games historically, but luckily that has changed of late. And then finally the Vikings get a frickin' nooner. They're only nooner in the month of September. But at least, well, the early morning games, so I'll have no problem recording those shows on Sundays. It's just Monday night, Sunday night, oofda. So got to kind of burn the midnight oil one way or another if I'm going to get the show done at all. So that's kind of how we're going here. Mike Hughes is on Atlanta. Wow. I'm surprised he's even still playing. That guy is meh. He's on Atlanta. Well, we'll go attack Mike Hughes. I don't think he's going to do a whole much. Man, that guy sucks. Okay, I'm just being honest with you. Penix definitely has a heck of an arm. He's a talented guy. But I don't know how talented he really, truly is. So far as a pro, he's been pretty mediocre, though I guess he did have about 300 yards this past week against that Buccaneers defense. And, well, the defense is coached pretty well with Bowles there, so Todd Bowles. So there is that. Tyler Elligar and all that, their running game was pretty weak, generally speaking. Penix shows some athleticism sometimes, but remember he had an ACL in college, so you can only expect so much. But John Robinson, hopefully the Vikings defense can contain him. Harrison Smith still has some kind of issues with, I don't know, it's like personal health, whatever that means. I have no idea what that is. I don't understand, but it was kind of weird when we heard that, to be quite honest. I do think the Vikings will play a better game than they did against Chicago. I think it'll be more of a complete game. I think the Vikings are definitely better than the Atlanta Falcons. Don't see it as a thorough thrashing like it was last year against Kirk Cousins. God bless Kirk Cousins, but yeah, the Vikings absolutely thrashed him. The Vikings defense, and just generally speaking, the Vikings thrashed Kirk Cousins. Darnold looked a heck of a lot better, and I can imagine J.J. McCarthy looking a heck of a lot better. I think McCarthy's confidence has been boosted with that fourth quarter, and I expect a more complete game from McCarthy going forward against this Atlanta team. Obviously, it's a defensive-minded coach there, and Raheem Morris. I don't know what's wrong with his chair and what it's hitting. I apologize. So there is that. McCarthy will be up against it a bit with that, but I don't know. I think Atlanta's very beatable. I don't think there's any doubt. Vikings will win the football game. Final score of 31 to 21. Vikings win by 10 in this one. It's not going to be a little 3-point game, and Tampa Bay was on the road. So it was a nice, tough victory in Atlanta. Definitely motivated to get things rolling. But I think Atlanta may have been demoralized a bit. They're going to start off the season 0-2, and the Vikings are going to start off the season 2-0, defeating Atlanta. I could see McCarthy getting over at least 200 yards, which shouldn't be asking too much, right, against Atlanta. I think McCarthy gets over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, and the Vikings end up winning the game 31-21, a 10-point victory for the Minnesota Vikings, who are just quite simply a better team. I think the Vikings defense does get to Penix and forces him into a turnover or two at the end of the day. Hopefully McCarthy protects the ball fairly well. And I think he learned a lot in this opening week. I got a good feeling about J.J. McCarthy. With that said, we'll take a quick break, get to fan interaction, and wrap this sucker up. And we are back here on Purple Mafia, segment number 3, looking to wrap this sucker up. Thank you, Tene, for retweeting the most recent episode. The season preview. I hope you guys liked that season preview. Hope you don't mind my predictions and such. Well, yeah, I won't spoil it in case you want to go back and listen to that one. I was saying the Vikings need to sign KJ Osborne, but people don't seem to care and think that's a dumb idea. But I don't know. I would love to see KJ Osborne come back to the Vikings. And for the record, Facebook page is like nothing going on, so that's kind of sad and disheartening. What happened? What's going on? Looks like he's still a free agent, I do believe, KJ Osborne. So I thought I would check up on that just in case. Also, he's the Vikings, the Patriots, and the Commanders. So still a free agent I don't see any real reason why the Vikings can't bring him back. I like KJ Osborne, doggone. Yeah, Commanders receiver. He's not on the Commanders. He's not. The Commanders cut him, right? He's not on the Commanders, okay? I don't know. Shame on you guys. What the heck is that nonsense? All right, enough. We'll see what happens. The Minnesota Vikings wide receiver. Well, yeah, I would like that, but it's not what's going on. Twitter, obviously. So Twitter, Instagram, and of course the YouTube page. Please subscribe to the YouTube page, Purple Mafia Show. The Twitter /X, Purple Mafia Show. Instagram, Purple Mafia Show. TikTok. That's right, TikTok. Yes, Purple Mafia Show. So pretty easy to remember. Put them all together. Purple Mafia Show. Dave Hickey out of Iowa jumps on board. And I was saying Adam Thielen took a $2 million pay cut to help finalize the trade from the Panthers to the Vikings. So, according to the NFL Network and such, Dave Hickey out of Iowa responds, Dave Hickey, sorry for the word salad, out of Iowa responds with, that's what a pro does. Unlike Micah Parsons, who wants all the money, I hope he bankrupts the team. That would be Micah Parsons, of course, with the Green Bay Packers. I agree. I do. I was talking about the Super Bowl logo, how that there's kind of like a ongoing theory about the color scheme can lead to the matchup and ultimately the winner. Like last year, it looked like green and red and such, and that green was the dominating color. And, well, the Eagles are green, and they won. So, in this case, it's kind of like a sky blue and purplish. I was thinking that could be Detroit versus Baltimore, with the Baltimore Ravens winning. Will responds with, that's Vikings-Chargers. But unfortunately, the blue appears to be the dominant color here, which would mean the Chargers would beat the Vikings in the Super Bowl, possibly. Yeah, but we'll see what happens. It'd be nice. Yep, well, I guess we are following each other. Okay, cool. Will, thank you for that. So maybe it is Vikings-Chargers, and hopefully if it is, the Vikings overcome and get the job done at the end of the day. So interesting kind of group of colors there in San Francisco with that Golden Gate Bridge. It's a cool look. I can't remember the last time San Francisco hosted a Super Bowl. They probably did, and I'm just blanking because it's a decent climate. Rhino, Vikings Uncensored podcast. Welcome back. What were we? Okay, this is a response with the whole Super Bowl logo again. And he says the trees, north woods, and landscape are purple, and the skyline of the city is powder blue. That means Vikings-Chargers. Okay, so he agrees with that. Okay, I feel you. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe McCarthy takes the Vikings to the Super Bowl and hopefully beats the Chargers, doesn't lose to them. That's interesting. Interesting. I thought it was Detroit and Baltimore, but man, maybe it is Vikings-Chargers. Some people are even saying Vikings and Bills, pardon me. Whew, it's late. It's midnight oil here. Dave Hickey, continuing with Iowa, or out of Iowa, says, I'm not liking, this is the stupid first 3 quarters, I'm not liking the way this game is going so far. They better get some shit figured out at halftime. Chicago has been a house of horror for us for years, yes. And these primetime games have not been good either. Darnold had a few good games, but we all know how it ended. Terribly. Agreed, Dave. Next one from Dave says, he did have some reliable hands. Who are we talking about there? I was saying, the Vikings need to sign KJ Osborne. There's no reason why. Hey, Dave Hickey said he did have some reliable hands. Yeah, and he was clutch at times, too. Dave Hickey continues with the way to go, big leg Bill, 59 yards. Yep. Let's get a 64-yarder in the second half and plus about 3 touchdowns. Well, we did get the 3 touchdowns, thankfully. No field goals needed, thankfully, as well. We did get the 3 touchdowns all in the fourth quarter, so that was pretty epic stuff. You nailed it, Dave. You really did. Taney was frustrated with how things were going. Like Kirk Cousins will be back in the Vikings by week 6. Yep. And I was saying, I hope not, but man, like to see what McCarthy is doing all of a sudden. Yep. Tanae Brown responds with, what an incredible turnaround that was. 3 of the worst quarters of football. Yeah, and it was, I almost dropped an F-bomb here. It was bleeping horrible. Yeah, the first 3 quarters were horrible. Followed up by one of the best. Yep, meaning that fourth quarter. The O-line came alive in the fourth, and yes, they did. Good blocking for McCarthy and some of those big first downs as well. It'll put McCarthy in position to be successful, generally speaking. Tanae Brown wraps it up, saying, what an incredible... Okay, that was the same tweet. I apologize with that. But that was fun. It was awesome. Very happy with how the Vikings turned out here at the end of the day. So, yes, the Vikings will beat the Falcons next week. Should be fun. It's going to be a 10-point win by the Vikings. It won't be a huge crushing blowout like last year, but I do think the Vikings actually play better against the Falcons than against the Chicago Bears, as, again, it is a house of horror for the Vikings historically. And obviously, as McCarthy trying to get the butterflies out, I'm sure, because anybody, no matter how confident you are, you're going to have some butterflies in your first professional game, especially at home, especially against the Bears defense run by, Dennis Allen, who's a pretty good defensive coordinator. I mean, there's a reason he got hired as a head coach. It's not just luck or just kissing up to somebody you know. I mean, he deserved to be a head coach, at least a shot of it with the Saints. Did it work out? No, but he deserved a shot at the very least. He's a very good defensive coordinator, and he made that Bears defense look pretty good, at least in the first 3 quarters. At the end of the day, and McCarthy came alive. Freaking awesome. With that said, please do put a positive 5-star rating if you could. Apple Podcasts has been lonely and stupid for forever. I don't know what's going on there. This show really needs algorithms, man. I'm telling you. Please, more follows, more likes, if possible, crushing the like button. And, of course, subscribers on YouTube would be absolutely wonderful if you could do that. Please, indeed. With that said, thank you so much for listening, and we'll be back next week, where the Vikings should be 2-0. At least I would hope so.